again, everyone. This is the demo section for our upcoming AWS Cloud Security Bootcamp. So I was going to start by me introducing myself to you, then I will walk you through what the program entails. So about me, I'm the lead instructor, and my name is Adeyemi Ayodepe, but people just call me either AY or Yemi. So I've been in IT industry for the past 12 years, and actually it's more than that because the first time I created my first website, I created it when I was still in high school. So, but officially starting earning in IT, getting salary in IT, it was 12 years ago. That was in 2012. All right. But in cloud security, I've been in cloud for the 5 years. I've been working in cloud specifically in the last 5 years. But as a cloud trainer, I've been training people since the last 3 years. And also, I also mentor people as well. The position I've held in the cloud and also before the cloud, in the cloud, I've worked as a cloud solution architect. I've worked as a cloud infrastructure engineer, and currently I'm a cloud security engineer. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, there's something pop up on it now. So before cloud, I was a full stack web developer. To be precise, I was a main developer. Main simply means I use MongoDB, React, Express, and Node.js to deploy or design a full stack web application. And before that, I was a software implementation officer or partner, and I actually did that for almost 5 years. People develop the website, the banking application. All I just do is to go to the banks, set the applications for them. When they buy the application, I help them to migrate all their financial data, customer data from their old application into a new application. Then I have to train them. So with one customer, I might spend like 2 months, or sometimes if they are new, I will spend like 2 weeks with them, but minimum of 2 weeks if it's a brand new bank. But if it's an old bank that has a lot of customer, I may spend 2 months with them because I have to first analyze their data, then migrate it to our application, then train them, and they have to check me to make sure that all the customers' balances are still exactly the same. So I've been in IT for some years, but in cloud security and cloud, to be precise, 5 years. All right, about the training objective. So the purpose for this training is, after this training, you're expected to become a cloud security engineer. And before you can become a cloud security engineer, there are some things that you need to know, and those are the objective of this training. First, you're going to understand the foundational security concept. It's not always advisable to just jump in or go and do certification and jump into the cloud or start looking for a job after your certification, because most certification, they focus specifically on that, maybe on that program or software you do certification on. But what they don't teach in the certification that you did, they don't teach the basic of security, the concepts of security, which you can't get in those certifications. So those are the first thing you need to understand. Those are the first thing we're going to cover. Then after that, we're going to move to AWS shared responsibility model. When you migrate to the cloud or your client is using cloud, the responsibility of making sure that the cloud is secure does not only lies on either the cloud provider or you, the customer. It's a shared responsibility. So you have to know what are your own responsibility of ensuring security in the cloud, and what are the the cloud provider responsibility of ensuring security in the cloud. Sorry, I have to admit other people to enter the class. The Zoom link, sorry. Okay, I think they're in now. All right, let's proceed. So after the shared responsibility model and the security concepts, the next one we are going to be focusing on is identity and access management. Identity and access management is one of the big area in security. And some of my students, after the class, when they get job as IAM engineer. There is even one person in my class in the last batch that got job, not even on AWS at all. He got job in a hospital as an IAM engineer. And the IAM that he's managing is not even AWS, but she's using the concepts of what we learned in the class to handle the application that she was working on. So on the identity and access management, our specific roles or objective is to understand IAM rules, is to understand how do you create policy, how do you enforce MFA on your AWS account, and some other area too, which we're going to be discussing in the class. So after the identity and access management, we're going to be looking at how do you manage accounts, how do you secure, provision, and accounts. Some people, when they go for interview, one of the reasons why they don't get job or they fail interview is because they talk in an interview as if they manage one account. No organization use one account. I've been working for the past 5 years with different companies, managing different organizations. None of them have seen that use minimum, anything below 3 accounts. The lowest account that I've worked with is 6 accounts. So when you go to interview and you are talking as if you manage just one single account, then it's a red flag. So your understanding of managing multiple accounts is very, very important. And how do you manage multiple accounts? Do you manage them individually or do you manage them as an organization? So I'm going to be training you how to manage multiple accounts as an organization. When you are managing multiple accounts, all the developers or the engineer or the company's employee that need access to the accounts or to the AWS accounts, they will want access in all the accounts or some of the accounts that they're working on. So you can't go ahead and be creating access or enabling them in each of the accounts. You just want to do it in one account and then give them access in the remaining account. So with this, we are going to be working on multiple accounts, managing access for multiple accounts. I'm going to be using tools such as the Active Directory. We're going to be using Okta and some AWS native tools to manage access to multiple accounts. So the next one is going to be, we're going to learn techniques for managing secret key and credentials. And this is another area in IT. And company deals with a lot of applications. And these applications need to talk to their environment, like AWS accounts, or one application talking to another application, or human being or a user talking to another application, or doing something on the application, or logging into a cloud services. All these require access. And how do you grant them access? It's either you grant them access through username and password, or you use credentials such as security key ID or token. So when you are using tokens or security or password, how do you keep the password? Do you keep the password in the application that wants to talk to your AWS environment, or do you keep the secret credentials in a different environment and just link it to your application, and then your application uses it to talk to your AWS environment? So these are what company wants to hear when you are doing interview. How do you manage access? Because these credentials, if you embed them directly in your applications, they have tendency of being leaked. And when they got linked, it might end up in wrong person's account. So understanding how to manage accounts in a more secure way is very, very important. Then after that, we're going to be dealing with data security. Data security is another important area in the cloud, because companies nowadays generate millions, even trillions of, billions of data on a daily basis. And all this data, they are the reason why every company continues to exist. So if you don't know how to help them manage their data, then the need for you will not be necessary. So your understanding of how to manage companies' data, especially the security aspect, how do you limit access to data? How do you ensure that when you create an application that has to store data, is not being exposed to the public? And everybody in the organization do not or will not need access to the data. So how do you manage access, either from external source or from internal source? All those are what we're going to be discussing. And one way to ensure data security is by enforcing encryption in transit and encryption at rest. And not only that, you also need to, at times you have to configure MFA for access into the data. There is a particular policy that I love to write, is that whenever you are talking to one of my storage, if you are not coming from a secure route, or you are not using multi-factor authentication, your access is going to be denied automatically. And those are very, very good practices. All right. After that, we're going to be talking about networking. In every organization, no server or application work in isolation. They work together. And when you link 2 or 3 applications together, it forms what we call network. So when you do not secure an application, and if the application got compromised, there is tendency that you're going to spread among the remaining applications. So how do you prevent one application from being compromised? Is by making sure that any communication to your network is extremely secure. So your knowledge of network security is also another essential part of cloud security engineering. So the tools that we're going to be looking under this area are network firewall. There is multiple network firewall. AWS have their own in-built network firewall, which they call network firewall. Then there is third-party firewall too. We have a firewall such as CloudStrike. We have firewalls such as the Fortinet, and many of them. So we're going to be looking at some of them. Then another network security in AWS, this is subnet precise, is network access control list. There's hardly you go for any interview that they're not going to ask you the network access control list. What does it mean? How do you use it? And the difference between it and security group. Security group is another firewall, but this is a host-based firewall. If you have a server, then the server needs a firewall, then that's when you're going to be using something like security group. After all of these security that we've mentioned, it will not be completed if you are not monitoring those security controls that you put in place. So how do you monitor the security that you put in place? This is why we're going to be learning skills in monitoring and logging activities. When an event happened, when you do something in the cloud or in IT generally, most likely that thing that you do or the application does is called events. When an event happened, you need to monitor the event, either by making sure that the event occur the right way it should occur, or maybe it's a compromised event. So if you just put all the security tools in place and you are not monitoring it, what is the assurance that the security is actually caching vulnerabilities? What's the assurance that the gating that you put in place is actually working the way you expect? The only way you can dictate and know this is by gathering logs, by reporting or recording the activities that they perform. And once you record and analyze the activity they perform, then you know the kind of actions to take, either to just leave it and do nothing. Leave it and do nothing is an action on its own, because you leave it, you are not doing nothing. But it might be an action that requires you to either twist the security configuration, or maybe if there's detection, then you might have to remediate it. So all of this are what we're going to be learning in this cloud security bootcamp. And also, as I always say, my training is not for certification. It's majorly for you being able to get the job and be able to do it. But that doesn't mean that I will abandon you in your certification journey, which is okay if you can get it. So I'm going to be sharing with you resources. I'm going to be sharing with you resources that you can use for your certification. And also, I'll be posting on regularly, and this is going to be on automation. I've already been doing it, security best practices, but this is always on my YouTube channel. I post security best practices on a daily basis, and I will also incorporate likely interview questions for both your interview and likely examination questions, so you can be monitoring that on a daily basis. I'm going to share the link to the YouTube with you before the end of the class. This section, sorry. All right, that's about the course. So how to prepare for the class? The one thing that I've seen in most people that attend training is that they always find one thing or multiple things that is more important than the training, and which is true. You have family, you have job, but for you to come to the training, that means you are ready to sacrifice some things. I'm not saying you are ready to sacrifice your family or your job, but there are some other activities that you are doing that they need to be, that you need to sacrifice, like spending too much hours on your phone, spending too much hours watching watching movies. All those things, you might need to sacrifice them for this period of time, meaning that you need to make this training important, just like how you make every other important thing in your life important. It's just between 3 to 4 months, you are done. Then if you get job, you have a lot of time on your hand to do other things that you've been doing before. But for this period, you have to make the training so important, and you need to be prepared. This is not a regular training. This is an intense training. You're going to be going through a lot of courses. You're going to be doing practical. You're going to be doing projects. So you need to prepare. And the preparation does not only mean that, oh, I'm ready for the full month. I've reduced my hours at work. Preparation I'm talking here is that before the class, you need to do your own research. I'm going to be sharing with you the recording of the previous section. The 2 previous sections, I'm going to be sharing the recording with you. So you are expected to watch the topic that we're going to cover before we covered it. And what that is going to do for you is that it's going to prepare you for the class, and it will make you to have questions, because it's very, very hard for people to have questions based on what they are just hearing for the first time. But if you have heard that thing before and somebody is talking about it now, then you can okay, this is not what I know before, or this is what I know, but it's not up to this. Then that comes question. So this will make you to have questions. And when you have questions, the class is lively and everybody gain from it. And not only that, you have to prepare. When you come to class, you don't sit down and expect me to talk, expect me to do the hands-on, and you just watch. You have to participate. If you participate, don't be scared that, oh, what I'm going to say might be wrong. If it is wrong, then that tells you that you learn another way of not saying it. So you learn something from that. Then always ask questions. Ask questions. I've worked with a lot of students that they just come to the class, they don't ask questions. And guess what? When there's time for that question, instead of them sending the question to the general Telegram where everybody will see it and we get from it, they will prefer to send the question to me directly. This is not right. Send questions to the Telegram does not mean people will mock you that you don't know what you're doing. It just simply means that you want to learn and you want others to learn too. And other people that know the question, that know answers to the question you are asking, they might even jump in and answer your question. And what does that tell us? It tells that you pose the question. When they answer it, you gain from it. Other people gain from it. And the person that answered the question also with his or her confidence by answering other people's questions. So the next one is to take the lab and the project serious. I've seen a lot of people, they just come to the class. They pay the money for coming to the class. This is not even people that maybe previous students or people that are doing free. People pay for the class and they just come to the class, get the video, and just abandon it. Like, oh, when the class is finished, I'm going to go back and watch the video. This is very, very hard. I can significantly tell you that a lot of people that want to do this, do the training like this, they end up abandoning the training. Because if the video starts coming in the first day, the second day, by the time you have like 15 hours or 10 hours of video, then I can tell you that to go back and watch it is going to be extremely difficult. So you have to take the lab serious and you have to take the project serious and make sure you keep up with the pace of the class. I've talked about this before. Research the topic before the class. You have to research the topic before the class, because how would you know what to research? You already have the video of what we are going to cover. And this section is the bootcamp, not your regular training. So what I mean, not your regular training, is that it's going to be majorly projects. I can tell you it's 70 to 80% projects. Those theoretical parts that we normally discuss, those are what we are going to be watching in the video. So it's going to be more practical this time around. Watch previous video before live section. I've already discussed that. Have fun and rest. This, I learned it when I was a software developer. At times when I'm writing code, if I get stuck, instead of me to stand up and walk around, I just sit down there trying to figure it out. And guess what? I might spend hours. At times I will spend 12 hours just sitting down looking at code, trying to troubleshoot. But immediately, if I eventually abandon the code, then go and do something else, then maybe when I'm doing other things, then the solution will just come to my mind, like, oh, I should have done it this way. And guess what? If I go back and do it that way, it works. So what does that mean? When you get stuck, leave it. Leave whatever you are doing about the course. Go and refresh yourself, have fun, go outside, get fresh air, then come back to it. That means, or even you might take a short nap or sleep, then by the time you wake up, you are refreshed. Then when you start looking at it again, you're looking at it in a more refreshed way. So always don't say, hey, it's 3 months, it's 4 months, I have to be indoor, I have to lock myself indoor. It doesn't work that way. You still have to have those fun. But what I'm saying is just that you have to reduce it. You can't be spending 3 days watching series movie or season movie. It's crazy. Sorry about that, but if you have been doing that for this period, you have to stop it. If you want to watch movie, just limit it to 1 hour, 1 hour, 30 minutes, 2 hours movie. That's all. So networking with other students, this is very, very important. You don't come to class and just want to be by yourself, because when you eventually get a job, you are not going to be doing the job by yourself. You're going to be as part of a team. So if you are in an environment that you can't talk to other learners like you, that all of you are in the same level, then what is the possibility or probability that when you get a job, you'll be able to talk to people of different level, of different tribe, of different race? So you need to develop that habit from the class. Start talking to other students, form study group, and start learning together. And several times I've received an offer letter from companies, not because I applied for it, but because somebody referred me from somebody from their company referred me, because you know what I've worked on before. And I've also done that for people too. So you don't know when the person that you met in this training will be of useful or of helpful hand to you. Give it all it takes to succeed. I can tell you, getting into IT is not easy. No matter what anybody tell you, hey, I'm earning $200,000, I'm earning $150,000, I'm earning $300,000. Fine, it's possible they can earn as much, but getting there is not easy. So you have to give it everything in it. And especially if you are not in IT before, you are coming in for the first time, then it's even going to be more harder, because you don't have the experience. And it's very easy for people to know that you don't have the experience, even if you put those experience on your resume, if you don't know how to talk about it. And the only way you can be able to talk about it is by doing it, by doing the project. And I will be sharing with you a project tracker that you're going to use to be tracking your projects and your progress. And this tracker is going to make sure that everything you worked on, you will be able to talk about it in an interview. When we get to this section, I will share the instruction with you. So celebrate your success, no matter how small it is, celebrate it and help others. When you help others, you know more about it. It doesn't mean that you know more than them, but when you help others, you know more than somebody. That is why you are able to help them. There are other things that they too know that you don't know. So don't feel proud when somebody asks you a question and you answer it, because they come back again and ask another question, then you feel like you know more than them. It's just that they need your help because you know that particular topic than them. Then when you help them, they too can be of help to you in another time. All right, so what do you need for this class? We're going to talk about 2 things here: the laptop requirements and tools and applications requirements. For your laptop, please don't bring any laptop that is less than 8 gig RAM. 8 gig memory RAM. Don't bring any laptop that's less than that. It's going to be extremely slow and you won't be able to catch up with the pace of the class. The minimum is 8 gig and the recommendation is 16 gig. My system is 16 gig and it's becoming extremely slow because I have a lot of things on it. So I have to go and buy another system for this upcoming training, and that is 32 gig. So this is going to be extremely fast. But I'm not saying you should go and get the 32 gig RAM. If you have 8 gig, that is fine. So for the processor, Core i3 or equivalent or Core i7 will be fine. Those ones, but the major thing I'm more concerned about is the RAM, because that determines the speed of your system. And for the storage, you don't really need a lot, especially for the training, but I'll still recommend 256 gigabytes for the storage for your system. So if you're planning to buy a system, just use this information to get your system. Then for tools and applications that you're going to need for this training, as I said earlier, this is not like the regular training that we did. This is more practical. This is me document everything I've done and bringing it to you like, okay, take and do this. So those things I've done in my past 5 years of experience, they are not only click and drag. Some of them require me to write code. So I'm going to be presenting that to you, but the aspect of writing code, forget about it if you don't know anything about code. I'm going to hold your hand from the very beginning to the extent of what you need. And so you should be able, at the end of the training, you should be able, when somebody is talking about Python, you should be able to say, okay, I know this about Python. This, if at least if they ask you to rank yourself, you still rank yourself more than 6. And the same thing goes to Terraform too. So for scripting and automation, you're going to need Python 3, Bash script, or Linux Bash, or Git Bash. Then you're going to be needing Visual Studio Code. You're going to need a GitHub account, because by the time you're writing those automations, you're going to keep the code and you're going to be pushing it into GitHub. And this is going to help you when you're looking for jobs. Somebody have reached out to me one time that a recruiter, a company, asked him, can you give me your link on your GitHub account? Let me go and see the project that you did. But it doesn't have it because it's not keeping record of the project you did. So they just believe that, no, you don't have the experience. So we're going to have a GitHub account, which we're going to use. We're going to be analyzing security infrastructure architecture. So if you want to be able to draw architecture, you want to be able to draw flow charts, you need a tools for that. And the tools that I picked is Lucidchart. This is not something you buy. You can just go to lucidchart.com, then you can just create an account, then you have access to it. It's free, but if you want to have some more features, then you have to pay. I think I'm paying like, I can't remember, it's been long, I've been paying for it, like maybe like $10 or $15. I don't know, it's between $10 and $20 per month. So then other tools that we need, I'll be telling you those ones when we get there, as we need them. Infrastructure as code, we need Terraform. This is very important because most people, especially, I always talk about this, especially those that just go and do AWS certification and then start looking for job. AWS certification only talks about AWS. They don't tell you other things that is not AWS. But companies do a lot of things. Even if they use AWS, they are not using AWS by itself. They are using AWS with other things that the certification does not talk about. So if you just go and do certification and think that you've arrived, I'm sorry to disappoint you. Even if you get a job with it and you don't start learning more, then before you know, you'll be out of job. So infrastructure as code is a very, very important thing that you need to learn. Because most deployment that you're going to be doing, you are not going to go to AWS account and be doing it on the console, although some company will allow you to do it directly on the website interface. But other companies, they will say, go and use infrastructure as code to do whatever it wants to do, which means that they don't want to give you access to the console. And the reason why they don't want to give you access to the console is maybe because they want you to work more faster, or they just want you to go and see what you don't expect to see. If you are doing infrastructure as code, at the beginning, let's say they gave you 10 servers to create. For the first server, it might take you like 5 minutes or 10 minutes to write the code. Why, if you're doing it directly on the console, it might take you 2 minutes. So somebody might ask, okay, if it takes me 2 minutes doing it on console, why not on console? Because it's faster. Well, that is if you are doing small thing. If you are doing that same server, maybe you want to do 20 of it, or you want to do 30 of it, then infrastructure as code, the only time it will change, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, we have finished writing the 20, you have finished deploying the 20 or the 30, even 40, 100 server that you want to create. You can do that within 10 minutes. But if you go to the console and you want to create 100 server on the console, I can tell you categorically, if you don't use the whole day, you will use half day. Because if you're not careful, your deployment will be inconsistent. You will create the first server will look like Z, the second server will look like Y. So your server will be inconsistent, and that's why companies prefer you to go to infrastructure as code. And if you are using infrastructure as code, they can monitor what you did so that you don't deploy something wrong to their environment. So it's very, very important you learn Terraform. Then other things, internet browser that you need, you can pick any internet browser of your choice, which is, but don't go and be bringing Explorer in this class. But any browser apart from that, Edge is good, Google Chrome is good, Firefox, Mozilla is fine. About the timing for the class, time and date. We have classes on Saturday, Wednesday, and Sunday. On Saturday, just like we start today, because it's going to be from 9 to 12. And in between that, we're going to have 2 breaks, 10 to 10:05 and 11:05. Sorry, 11, this one is 11. 11 to 11:05 p.m. a.m. All the time is central. So if you are in Eastern or you are in other parts of the USA, you have to convert your time to CST. So on Wednesday, it's 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And on Sunday, it's 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. And the same on Sunday, we have 2 breaks from 4 p.m. to 4:05 and from 5 p.m. to 5:05. And this might change, depends on the student. If it's going to change, I will let you know. I'm going to vote or decide on that together collectively. Because at times when you are doing practical, you don't want to leave the system and go, because by the time you are into it, you might be enjoying it and you don't want to leave. So we decide whether I want to do 5 minutes or we just want to do 10 minutes, but we're going to have 10-minute break. So the decision will now be, do we leave it on 5-minute break or do we just have 10-minute break at once? And for the materials that we're going to be using for the class, I'm going to be sending you videos, previous videos, which you have to watch before the class. Then you're going to get a Zoom link. You're going to get a Zoom link for the live section. And you're going to have access to the course material that I'm using. Then your projects and assignments also we're going to be sharing with you. Then after every module, we're going to check our knowledge, possibly with interview questions. So those are about the training. Then if your question is like, why should I learn AWS security? Well, I will answer your question with salaries, because I like figures, with salaries in the cloud. So learning AWS security does not necessarily mean that it is only what you can do, because all these courses, all the courses are all the topic or resources that we're going to be working with. We are not only going to base it on security alone. At least you will understand the concept behind it, how to create it, how to integrate it with other applications. Then before you can now talk about security of that service precisely. So if you are able to talk about the concept, how to create the resources, how to link it to other applications, then that means you are good as those people that are doing that same job, even if they are not security engineer. So here are the list of jobs that you can actually apply for. But a lot of people, when they finish training, they're going to be applying for chief solution architect, chief security engineer, senior security engineer, lead security engineer. I will tell you, if you just finish any training, limit it to foundation. I'm not saying you should put entry there. Just limit it. Don't add anything behind it. If you just finish a training, if you go and be putting lead solution architect, then your interview questions will be upgraded. They will grade you based on what you put on your resume. So be mindful of that. But here are the salaries. And this is a very, very good salary for any household in US. So I'm not talking about other countries that have not been so, but this is a very good salary. Not everybody earns this kind of salary. So for cloud security engineer, especially I always tell my students, the minimum you should go for, if anybody asks you what is your base salary, is 150, because that is the base, that's the average. Majority of my students that have gotten a job, I can say categorically, more than 80% of them are above this range. Anyone of my students that got anything below, like maybe 130, 120, I'm not going to tell them to reject it. You still take, even if they offer you 80,000 for the first time, take it, learn from them, maybe spend like 2 months with them, then you can start looking for another job, because that 2 months that you spend with them, you are better off than somebody that have not done the job at all. So, but the base salary that always has people, when anybody asks you, always, and most of the time, when we get to the interview question, I will teach you how to answer such question. Don't just give them salary. But if they insist that, okay, if we don't tell us salary, we can move forward, then put your limits on this. Then make sure that you do it with sense, and don't just say, hey, if you don't pay me 150, I'm not doing the job. Just tell them that currently you are earning between 145 to 150, and you will appreciate if you can be more than 150. So that's better. So 150 is the deal. So if your question is, what does a security engineer do to earn that much? Well, as a security engineer, one of your tasks is going to be create security on secure cloud architecture and infrastructure. And this is one of the work I do most. Somebody wants to deploy anything on the cloud, then you have to look at the security architecture or the architecture that the person provides. Then you have to look at security for that application. Is it blocking everything supposed to block? Is it open access to the public? Is it granting access to the thing that it needs specifically, or is it granting access to things that doesn't really need access? You have to look at the architecture. Is it logging properly? If it logs properly, how do you monitor those logs? So those are the things that you talk about as a security engineer. You're going to be managing access and identity. I can't emphasize on this a lot because it's one of the key services that you're going to be doing. You're going to be implement continuous security monitoring and incident response protocol. You're going to be configuring CloudTrade, CloudWatch, monitoring people that whatever they are doing on your application or on your environment. Deploy data protection and encryption measure. We discuss all of this as parts of what's the objective of the course. Ensure compliance through regular security audits and assessments. You don't just set up all the security controls in place. You have to monitor them. And if anything goes wrong, you have to remediate them so that you can remain compliant with the industrial regulations. Automate security controls and processes using infrastructure as code. And this is why we're learning Terraform, because we want to automate all the deployments. And also I'll be teaching you how to create CI/CD pipeline. And in short, I was working on one of these, even for my company, this week, and I finished it. So I'll be creating something similar, but not extremely the same, something similar in the YouTube. So just look for that in the upcoming days. Design and maintain secure network configuration. I've already discussed this. If you want to make sure your environment is secure, you need to monitor everything that comes into the network. And remember, networking simply is when you plug in or connect multiple devices together, and you have to monitor what goes in between them. Design and maintain secure network configuration. I discussed that. Educate team on cloud security best practices and protocol. One of your responsibilities, I've actually worked with a company that I don't do anything. The only thing I do is that whenever anybody deploy or wants to deploy something on our AWS account, I have to review what they want to deploy. And even if they deploy that thing and I'm not aware, or my team is not aware, then we have security tools that is going to detect, like, okay, this thing that this person created is not configured, or is misconfigured, or is not aligned to our security best practices. Then once the report is out, then I can either send it to them or just reach out to them like, hey, you create something like this, is not secure, you need to do it this way. And that is even if it passed through our guardrails, because as a security person, you should, and this is what we're going to be discussing, how to manage multiple accounts together. If you're having one account, it's easy to dictate what somebody is doing. But if you're having thousands of accounts or hundreds of accounts, then it's very difficult for you to go into each of accounts and see what people are doing. But one way that you can be secure is by setting a gating automation or a guardrail that will detect everything that wants to go into any of the accounts, and it's going to capture it. If there's a misconfiguration, it's going to capture this misconfiguration. It's going to either terminate it or reverse it immediately. And if it doesn't reverse it immediately or terminate it immediately, it's going to send you an alert in form of alarm. Then when you see that, you can either remediate it or instruct those people that created it to remediate it. So those are what we're going to be discussing. Learning or doing all these things is not enough. You're also going to be educating other team how they should create their security or how they should configure their resources. So these are the roles of a cloud security engineer, and all these are already be incorporated into the training. So why do I have to choose AWS? So among all the cloud providers, why do you have to pick AWS? Well, AWS is has several benefits, and one of them is high demand. I can tell you that AWS is in high demand than every other cloud provider out there. So the lucrative career opportunities is there. If you work with AWS, and this is general to all cloud. If you have worked with one cloud before, then switching to other cloud is going to be extremely easy, because it's just technologies most of the time that differentiate them. So wide range of job opportunities, global recognition, versatility across industry and domains, and access to AWS community and resources. AWS have a lot of resources, which I'll be sharing with you where to get that in training. And if you're not confused about all those opportunities, let's look at the market share of AWS and other cloud providers. AWS have more market share than any one of them combined. Even AWS customers, Azure and GCP, which is Google Cloud, if you add their customers together, it's almost the same thing with what AWS only is controlling. So that tells you that AWS have more market shares than every other cloud provider out there. So that's why it's good to pick AWS. Okay, there's a typo there. I mean, how the training will be deployed. That's a typo, don't mind me. So for the training, how we deploy our training section, it's going to be live online training. And as I said earlier, I'm going to give you access to the previous class for you to watch. So those are the self-study. You watch those one on your own time. I'll tell you what specifics to watch before the class. Then when you come for the live training, you're going to have questions. We're going to solve your questions, and then we're going to jump in on the practical based on what you watch. So if you are coming to class and you don't watch those one, then the practical might be too difficult for you because you don't know or you don't have knowledge about the concepts that we're going to be discussing. There's going to be a complete hands-on training with relevant information and projects. It's going to be 3 months, and this is going to change. But for now, we say 3 months because holiday is coming and we can't work during that holiday period. So we discuss this in class. When should we stop class for the year? Maybe 22, 23, then we come back new year, maybe 3rd, 4th, and 5th. That's going to be discussed. But once we have that holiday, then just know that we're going to increase the class by the same number of period in the new year. So the class is going to be 3 times a week. It's going to be Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. We discussed that already. Capstone projects after every major topic. This capstone project is different from the regular hands-on project we are going to be doing. This capstone is going to combine every services that we've used. For example, if you are talking about EC2, when you watch the video for EC2, you come to the class, we do projects on EC2. When you watch video for S3, we do projects on S3. Then the capstone project, we combine those two topics that we've covered, like EC2, S3, and other services we learned. You combine them together on that same module, and that is the capstone projects that I'm talking about. Automated daily interview questions and security best practices via YouTube. I already created this. So let me see. When I get to the YouTube, let me stop here. When I get to the YouTube section, I'm going to show you that. Let me just continue. So the class duration on Wednesday is going to be 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central. On Saturday, it's going to be 9 a.m. to 12 noon Central Time. And on Sunday, it's 3 to 6, and at times 3 to 5, depend on what we are working on. But put your mind at 3 to 6. So what are the curriculums that we need? And what are those things that we're going to cover? So I've already, if you go to this link, I already have it's okay here. So here is what we're going to cover. Your introduction to security, which is very, very important. And based on what we discussed earlier, we're going to start with the security fundamentals and principles. You can't say you are a cloud security engineer and you don't know the meaning of confidentiality, integrity, and availability, which is the CIA triad. You can't say you work in security and you don't know what is reduced blast radius. You can't say you work in security and you don't know what is called least privilege. I mean, the principle of least privilege. So all those things are the basic cloud or security things that you should know. If you go for an interview and somebody asks you, tell me the goals of a cybersecurity, and you don't know, then that is a red flag there. The goals of every cybersecurity is to ensure the three principles is not compromised. The principle of confidentiality, integrity, and availability. I don't want to know whatever you are doing in cloud security or any security, either cloud security or cybersecurity or whatever. The end goal is to make sure that your confidentiality is intact, your availability is intact, and your integrity is intact. Everything evolves around those three things. Then we're going to be talking about asymmetric encryption and symmetric encryption using one single key and two keys. We're going to be talking about encryptions and decryptions and things like that. Those are the basic things that you need to understand. This does not even mean whether you're a cloud security or solution. If you're working in security general, these are the basic things you should know, and that is where we're going to start. Then we're going to talk about the AWS shared responsibility module and the AWS security service. AWS have a lot of security services, but you don't really need to learn all, because you might not really need all, but the basic one, the major one, is what you're going to be learning in the introduction section. Then after that, we're going to be talking about, this is module 2 now, access and authorizations on AWS. I discussed this earlier. How do you manage access? And the project that we're going to be looking on under this, you're going to be working on projects on IAM, how to give access through IAM. You're going to be working on how to enforce MFA, multi-factor authentication, how to incorporate SAML in your AWS. Maybe if you want to use your AWS with if you want to integrate it with other services, you're going to be using SAML. This is OIDC, which is Open Connect. It's one of the tools that companies use a lot these days, especially if they want to grant access to a third-party application and they don't want to share secret key and secret key ID. So they go through the role, they use role, and the way the role works is by using ODIC. And this is what I used for my previous application that I was talking about that I just finished. And Okta too, here, companies tend to use what is called SSO, single sign-on, which means that they only want to record or grant you or keep your credential in one place. And that place they keep your credential or they create access for you, they want to use that same signing in every other application that they own or they manage. So the place they keep the credential or the place they grant you they configure your authentication is going to be different from the AWS account. So the question now is, how do you link both of them together? And one of the identity provider is Okta. And then the one that companies use a lot, I can tell you this, like almost more than 60% of companies out there, they'll be using Active Directory in one way or the other to manage their assets. So they just create you access on Active Directory and automatically you have access to every application that they are managing. So I'll be showing you how to do this. And this is going to be part of our capstone project. Then on the account management and provision on AWS, you're going to manage multiple accounts. How do you create account structure and organization? How to use SCP to block what you don't want people to do in other accounts, because you can't be working on each individual account. So you have to designate a specific account. And from that specific account, you're going to be monitoring access into every other account. So we're going to be learning about role-based and accounting provisions and things like that. Then tagging is also another thing that I've seen out there that is very, very important. When you create resources, you need to tag it. Maybe not because of any purpose, but at least because of you want to be able to know the resources that is spending the most amount of money, or you want to be able to call a particular tag and do one thing on all the resources that have that same tag. So it's very, very important to have a consistent and conventional tagging policy. So I'm going to be teaching you how to create a tagging policy that you can use even in your organization. All right. How do you manage key and secret keys? So here are the topic we're going to be covering under managing keys, and these are the projects. For data security, these are the topic: encryption in transit and encryption at rest, S3 bucket security and access control, RDS encryption option, data classification and handling. Then we're going to work on projects on S3 bucket, access management, RDS backup and restore, RDS encryption, S3 encryption, S3 access log, and RDS access log. These are these are security focused, and those are what I've worked on before. So if you finish this program or this bootcamp, you don't go out there and say you don't have experience, because these are the real life experience. Those are the things I've worked on, and that's what I'm bringing to you. And most likely, I'm going to be showing you exactly what I did, but we are not going to be doing it in the company I work for environment. We're going to be doing it in our own environment. But guess what? It's going to be real life like. Let me put it that way. Infrastructure and edge protection. So I talked about network access control list, which is very, very important for you to know. Security group also, and then web application firewall, and then CloudFront and Route 53. Those are what we're going to be covering under infrastructure and edge protection. And here are the topic. For monitoring and collection of logs on AWS, like I said earlier, you don't just put security controls in place. You have to monitor them, because when you monitor them, you'll be able to analyze them, whether they're doing the right thing or they're doing the wrong thing. And once you analyze them, you can take action. There are a lot of things. People always say, look at pictures very well. You will see things in picture, hidden things. So the same thing with data. If you have data, it's only if you don't know how to analyze the data that you will still have problem about some issue. If you, like companies that generate data, if they know how to analyze their data very well, it solve a lot of their problem. So whatever we keep log of, we need to analyze it. So the project we're going to be doing under monitoring and logging, we're going to be doing projects on CloudTrail, how to use CloudTrail to detect what people are doing in your environment, how to use CloudWatch log to see how your application is performing, how to use VPC flow log to know what are the services that was blocked and what are the services that was allowed into your environment. And if there is any misconfiguration, you want to use AWS config to detect that. And also we can use AWS config to determine if something has changed. Let's say, for example, you create an EC2. Maybe before you close for the work on Monday or on Friday, before you close for the work on Friday, you create an EC2, you configure it. Then when you come back on Monday, you're like, it seems that this EC2 have changed from what I've configured. You can go to AWS config and it's going to tell you the resource before and the resource after. So if anything has changed, you will be able to detect that, okay, this is my configuration before I left on Friday, and this is what it is on Monday. So AWS config can tell you that resource before and resource after. Responding to threats, which is very, very important for you. One of my students attended my class one time and he didn't finish half of the class and he thought he knew everything and he left. Then he went to an interview and they asked him, how do you prevent if your environment is compromised and you detect that, oh, something is wrong, your server is being compromised? Well, how will you respond to that? And he said he's going to turn off his system and he's going to call the support and let them know about it. When you detect that your environment is compromised, the last thing you want to do is to turn off the system, because when you turn off the system, a lot of things is going to wipe off from the cache, from the memory, and that might make it difficult for the forensic analyst to detect what actually go wrong, or where the compromise is coming from, where it has passed through, and where it is currently. So you don't want to turn off the system. What you just want to do, you want to separate or disconnect the system from the network so that it doesn't spread the malicious scripts to other environments. So once you disconnect it, then you can now take a copy of the snapshots of that server so that you capture everything that is on the snapshot. Is just like you take a picture of something, so it still remain there, and then you can now say, okay, you want to turn it off because you already take the snapshots. And even if you turn it off and everything wipe off your snapshots, they can create another server from your snapshots and it's going to show exactly what happened. So I just tell him that, okay, you don't do it that way. This is how you do it in case it comes out in another interview. So finally, we're going to be wrapping up with key concepts that you need to know in the cloud, how to answer interview questions, and if you want to go for certification, what are the materials for your certifications? I always say I'm not a fan of certification. That doesn't mean I don't have certification. I think I have the cloud practitioner and I also have the solution architect associate, but both of them have expired since early this year and I've not renewed them and I'm not planning to renew them. If you are going for any certification, one certification that I will recommend you have before you start looking for a job is Security Plus, especially if you want to work for government agency, they always require that. And it's not because it's a certification, it's because it's basic. It talks about basic securities that you must know in every IT. And that certification is very, very good. I always recommend it to people, Security Plus. All right. So this is the curriculum. So let's proceed. Now, the bonus section. Apart from the training, we're going to be helping you with your resume prep and review. You're going to do your resume. I'm going to teach you how to do resume, give you a template, then you go and do your resume. You send it to me, I review it. Then LinkedIn prep, I'll show you how to configure your LinkedIn, how to optimize it. And also there is something that I just learned now, that if you want to consistently post on your LinkedIn, you can automate the process. Thanks to artificial intelligence, that you don't have to do it. Artificial intelligence will be doing it for you and be posting on your LinkedIn regularly. So you can when you keep posting regularly, people start noticing you and they will start recommending you. So that's interview prep. Group study is always encouraging. Look for people in the team to start group study together, and also revision and discussion too. Those are very, very important things. You're going to have network, or you're going to be able to network with other professionals, people that are already working, they're in the team, they're in our Telegram, so you can reach out to them for maybe for referral or maybe for section advice, study advice, career advice, anything. You can reach out to them. Then join the community of AWS professionals. You can call yourself as an AWS professional. Now, to the fee, how much does it cost for you to join the class? It's just 2,500 only. That's the cost for all this you're going to learn. For payment plan, yes, there's payment plan. If you can't afford the 250 once, the first time, if you're paying one time, you're free to pay 2,300, which is 2,300. If you are paying two times, you pay 1,200, which is 1,200. But if you don't have money to pay one time or two times, you can pay four times. But if you are paying four times, the initial deposit is 1,000. Then you can pay the remaining 500 bi-weekly, meaning every 2 weeks. If you have not registered yet, you can go to this link to register. And if you want to join our social media handles, this is our social media handles. On YouTube, just search for the Cornelis hands-on IT training, or you just do at the Cornelis. It will bring out my YouTube channel. Also, if somebody have a question, is the training sufficient to write the Security Plus exam? No. Security Plus is for CompTIA A+. I mean, it's CompTIA that owns Security Plus, not AWS. But it's very, very good. If you want to write, you can reach out to me. I can get you study material for that, and also likely interview questions. But it's a different course entirely. It's always advisable to have it. I've seen people that do the certification. If you're serious with it, I've seen people that have done it within 1 month. Some people do it 2 months, some do it 3 months, but 1 month is doable. So we're talking about the YouTube. So if you just search for the Cornelis, you can do the Cornelis Inc. It's actually the Cornelis Inc. before I change it to the Cornelis IT training. So it's going to take you to our YouTube. Oh, I missed E here, the Cornelis Inc. So we're going to take you to our YouTube. For the configuration I discussed earlier that you have to do for your system, I created a video here, all-in-one configuration guide. And this video will walk you through how to configure your system for Python, AWS CLI, GitHub Bash, and Terraform, and Ubuntu 3. So you have to watch this video. Make sure your system is configured before our class starts. The class starts November 9. And here, let me go to the Cornelis IT training. So I also have some shots which are security things that I'm putting in place. All these are automations, and they are different. And let me walk you through what this means. And this is, I will advise you to be watching out for this every day. I'm going to post it when it starts. He said, let it finish. I'll tell you what it means. Okay, so this is the issue. Do you know that this is a security issue? And the security issue is Python in cloud automation. Writing complex scripts. Doing this is bad. When you do this, it is bad. If you write a complex script without modularizing your Python code, meaning modularizing simply means dividing the code into small units. And why is it bad? It makes the code hard to maintain. And what is the solution? The solution is for you to break your Python code into modules and functions for easier maintenance. And that is one. There's a lot of them that I put out there. Let me just explain this, then go back to the. So this is another one. Do you know that this is security issue? CloudWatch log retention. If you are doing this, it is bad. if you let your CloudWatch logs accumulate indefinitely without review. This is like what I said earlier. You put security controls in place. You monitor the security controls by taking logs. So do you have to just keep the log? No, you don't keep the log. You have to review it. So if you let your CloudWatch log accumulate indefinitely, you just keep adding them without reviewing it, then it's going to increase your cost and it's also going to increase your security risk. So what should you do? How do you fix it? Then this is how to fix it. Set appropriate log retention period to save cost and to improve your security. So I post this every day. You can watch it. And then for the interview likely questions, I'm working on that, and that's one we should go out when the class starts as well. So that is for the YouTube interview. Let's proceed. So if you want to join any of this handle, just search for us using any of this name. And if you want to join the Telegram, you can go to this link or you just scan this barcode. It will take you automatically to our Telegram group. So now we have come to the questions and answers section. If you have questions, this is the time for you to ask. You can unmute yourself and ask questions now.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. My question is actually concerning the setting up of the what they call Terraform and AWS. Because when I was going through it, I need help with it. Because when I was going through it, I never knew that I had to keep the secret key. So like when I got to the last set, I had to start all over again. Now I'm stuck and I'm getting some error, which I will need to reflect or what we call validate the credentials all over again. So I need help with that.
So the question is, do you watch that all in one video or?
I was following it. I was watching it, but following it through. But I never knew that I had to keep some information.
Oh, that you don't know that you have to keep the information.
Yes.
Okay. So you talk about so when you generate the access key and the secret access key, you do not save it, right?
I did not save it.
Okay, but you configure it the way I asked you to configure it.
Yes.
Okay, you can get it back. This is what you just need to do. If you type cat, that is CAT, all in lowercase.
Okay.
TIDA is the keyboard key under the escape. It's TIDA. Like it looks like snake. Somebody once called it a snake, like it's TIDA. Then once you type the cat TIDA, then you put /.aws/credentials. Credentials, not credential, credentials. Then we press enter, it's going to show you the secret key that you used. Then you can copy it from there.
Would I put that on the terminal or what do you call or the Terraform?
So if you configure it on the terminal, if you, in the video, I use the same key for all of them. So whichever one that you do is going to give you for the CLI, and you can use it for any of the configuration.
Can you please put the code on chat so that I can just copy of it?
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm supposed to have done.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's it. All right. So any other question?
Hey, another question is, this is a bootcamp. So are we gonna get anything like a certificate at the end of this course, or just practical, like you said, and assume that we already have like hands-on experience?
So as I said earlier, I'm not a fan of certification. I've interviewed a lot and I've interviewed other candidates. And one thing that I don't pay attention to is their certificate. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't get. So this is purely hands-on. It's a boot camp. I'm going to be teaching you what you need to get through the interview, get the job, and be able to do the job. Or if you need a certificate, you can still use whatever we're going to discuss in this training for the certification, but it's not going to be enough. Because this is with certification. Like, let's say I'm creating certification about the Cornelis or about AWS. I'm going to be putting in some key things that promote AWS, which does not promote what you actually do in the job. So a lot of questions that you encounter or answered in certification, some of them are not really for what you need to do the job. They are something like every certification puts a lot of things in that certification to promote their applications or tools. So this course, I don't give any certification, but after the course, if you want to do certification, you can reach out to me. I can get you material in addition to whatever we discuss in class. And you will see that when you actually read it for certification, majority of what we discuss in class will be coming out and it's going to make more sense to you than just doing the certification first.
Okay, so basically, if you the resume is the only thing that is going to show that you have experience on AWS.
Exactly.
Not like attaching no certifications to your resume that you have studied it, but you just put it in like just an experience that you gain, like on the job experience. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the experience that you gain, there's something I actually forgot to discuss something. I'm going to bring it up now. So the experience you gain is what the employer need. If anybody is asking you that, hey, you need certification for this job, they need that certification. One is either they are a consulting firm or they have a client that require that whoever is working on their project must have the certification. So most companies that request for certification, they are consulting firm. And why do they do that? Because the total number of certifications they have determine their superiority over their competitor. And when they want to get job from their clients, they are going to write like a sales speech. And inside that sales speech, they're going to put a lot of, like how many of their employers are certified. So indirectly, they are using that certification to market themselves, not because they need it or not because they think that if you don't have the certification, you still can't do the job, but they just need the certification to convince their client that, hey, we have capable hands to do the job. So your certification does not really take you anywhere. If you like, go and do all the certification in this world, it is still not going to get you a job. It can help you to take your resume up, but even if you take your resume up among the crowd and you still can justify that knowledge, is irrelevant. I've seen people that they actually, some people are going to join the class, they have certifications and they've kept certification for like almost 2 years now and they still can't get job with it. Why the people have, my last class, no, not this class, like the class before the last, 2 weeks, immediately we finished, somebody was able to get a job. And before we even finished, somebody get a job. And the reason because they talk about what they have done and not because they have a certification or so. So don't keep all your hope high if you have certification. It will help, but it's not going to get you the job.
Okay, so basically it's usually experience over certificate.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So yeah, there is something that I said I want to discuss. So this is Bootcamp project tracker. One issue that I've seen some of my previous students and other students that I've talked to used to have is that they attend bootcamp, they attend training, but when they finish, they still think that they don't know the job. So they have this level of low confidence that they don't want to go and get bashed in interview by them talking about what they don't know or asking them what they don't know about. So this is what I've done. Every project that you do, you're going to track it. And this is it. Any project, let's say you work on one project like this, you're going to put that project as number one project. All the projects I'm going to give you, I'm going to do this on there. Number one project. Then the project title, you're going to put the name. I will say you need to get 3 companies, and these 3 companies will be the company that will be on your resume. So if you know that, okay, if I finish the training today, these are the companies I said I worked for. So you're going to put those 3 companies here. And every project you do, you must tie it to one of these companies. And this is my advice. If I give you one project, do that one project for the 3 companies. And the reason why you have to do it for the 3 companies, I'm going to tell you my experience when I was a software developer. It took me 2 years before I got my first job as a software developer. And the reason is that anything I learn, then I only do it once. And when I go for interview, is either I forgot or I don't have enough thing to say about it by saying I've done it in multiple times. So the problem is that I don't do it several times. There's no repetition. And when there's no repetition, there's tendency that you forgot and we forget. So if you are able to do the project 3 times for 3 different companies, that is where the power of repetitions will comes in. And when you keep on repeating something, it becomes part and parcel of you. So here it is. You write the project, you mark the company that you're going to be working for, you put them here. The key resources that you use in the project, you're going to put it here. You're going to list them. It can be 1, it can be 3. If I give you a first project is spin up an EC2 and assess it, so that you know how to spin up an EC2 and assess it, you're going to put EC2 here. Then that is the key resources. Then there is other resources that you use. You're going to list other resources. These are not the key resources, but most of the time, when you're using one particular resources, you're going to be using other resources in conjunction with them. For example, if you are creating a web server for an applications, or you are creating a web server for a website, EC2 is going to be your major resources, but you are going to be using SSH. You are going to be using what's it called? You're going to be using VS Code to SSH into the server. You are going to be using something like CLI to do something on the server. Those are the technologies you put here. This is how you track what you've done, how you do it, the resources you use. And when you on the platform, if I give you a project, you either do it on the console, which is you go to log into your AWS and start clicking all around to do the project, or you use Terraform, which is infrastructure as code, or use Python, or use AWS CLI. Whichever technology you use, put it here. So by the time you are putting console, then that tells you that you are only mastering console. You need to start learning more. Are you with me, guys?
Yes.
So thank you for that. So the next thing is the business goal of the project. The business goal of the project is why are you doing the project? And this why is not your reason, maybe because I want to learn, is the business goal. Maybe your company wants to deploy a web server for an application that they are creating for a new project. That is the business goal. And why do you need that? Those are words you are going to be using in interview. So by the time you finish all of this tracker, You won't be reaching out to me that, Yemi, I want you to help me with my resume. You won't be reaching out to me that I need projects. I don't have enough idea. You won't be reaching out to me when you are creating your resume, skills to put on your resumes, or how to write your resume, because this is where you're going to get all the information from. And when you are doing this, you are prepping for interview. And that is not all. This is even just the beginning. The lesson learned, you are going to put it here. I understand how IAM policy structure is created. Your talking points. This talking point is very important. Your talking points for interview and resume. Your talking points for interview and resume. Any project you do, list your talking points here. And if you don't know talking points, you can, for example, you say, I set up and secure access. I set up a secure access to an S3 bucket, enforce or ensure login and restriction or restricted permission. That is the talking points. You can post these talking points in something like ChatGPT or Google and generate more and build it, rephrase it to your own. So the problem I'm saying people have, not even necessarily in my class, is because they wait till the end of the project or the end of the training to start all of this. And if you do wait till the end of the training, there's tendency that you will learn a lot and you will even know what you've learned. And this is why I created this. Also, one thing that we do in the real world, which is very easy for somebody to dictate that you are lying, that you have this experience that you say you have, is because you don't document. This, you don't create documentation. Any project you do, I'm going to teach you how to create documentation or SOP. You have to create documentation on that project. And this documentation can also do one thing for you. It can take you, it can start showcasing your knowledge on social media. I will advise you to register for Medium, which is a social media that you can post solutions. Take this documentation, post it on Medium. People will read it. It will help them. Then why people start saying that, you can even post it on YouTube, on all your social media, then on LinkedIn too. Then people start recognizing you. And that is when you get job. If somebody is asking you, hey, do you know how to write documentation? You don't talk too much. You just say, okay, I've written documentation. You can go to Medium, you can go to Facebook, you give them the link, proof that you've done that. Then, if the project is completed, you mark completed. If you have a lot of in progress or not completed projects, then you need to do more. And this, I want this here because we're going to share this with me. I'm going to share this with me. I want to be tracking it. And I want to be tracking this. So if I'm saying in progress, then I'll come for you. Why is all this in progress? I want to see complete. Then, after that, the date you start, the day you finish, and additional notes. These additional notes can be, okay, you do this project, but you struggle when you are doing it. What do you struggle about? Then you can keep your notes here so that you can use it to develop. I think there's something I missed, or you think I didn't put it here. Challenge, yeah, I missed this. Challenge faced. One question that normally comes out in interviews is that, can you talk to me about the project that you worked on? Then you find one project and give to them. Then they ask you this question: what are the challenges that you faced while doing the project? It's going to be a very, very, don't let me use bad word, but it's going to be a very dummy word. If you say, I don't face any challenge. But somebody might ask, what is a project they've worked on that is very, very, that you are not happy about? This is where you're going to get those information from. The challenges that you faced. And when you have more challenge here, when you are prepping for interview, these are what you just read. So when somebody asks you in interview, hey, tell me about the project you've worked on that you're not happy about, the challenges that you face, these are what you are giving them. So everything you need, or this lesson learned might be, tell me a project that you work on and you're so happy about. This is lesson that you can pick your answer from here. But if you do not track all of this, it's going to be very, very hard for you to come up with a story during an interview. But if you have this down, you've practiced over it several times before the interview date, then when they ask you, you are speaking fluently. All right. So these are the project tracker, and I'm going to share this with you once the class starts and you start filling your project. I can categorically tell you in this bootcamp, you will do more than 30 projects because it's project focused. That's why it's bootcamp, not my regular training. You have to watch the video for the last class because I'm not going to be talking about the concept again. I expect you to get all the concept in the video. When you are coming to class, you are coming for projects and it's going to be project focused. So there is one more other thing that I have. I don't know why I deleted it from the presentation, but let me see if I can see that. Use the chat. And after this, we come to the end of the class. I'll just answer the question that I'm seeing on Telegram. On the chat. If anybody has a question now, you can ask me. Another question? If you ask a question, you can ask. I'm opening this up. All right, I'm seeing some questions on the chat. Okay, these are direct questions. I'm not going to read them loud. But Olu, your question is not direct. Are you going to teach Terraform from day one or towards the end of the training? Terraform, I'm not going to teach Terraform during the training, but I'm scheduling another time during the week for Terraform, Python, and Linux. And all these are going to be streamlined on YouTube. It's going to be during the week. It's not part of the training, but I'm going to teach it. I'm going to teach it, and it's going to be stream. And it's going to be maybe like a week after the class starts. So I'm going to Terraform, Python, and Linux. I'm going to put, like, if we finish Terraform or Bash or Git, I'm going to put all of them together like that. But it's not part of the training. This training is only for AWS. But Terraform, Linux, Python, Git, they are going to be on the YouTube. All right. Let me see. Yeah, this is why I'm telling you that if you are using anything below 8 gig, it's going to be terrible. You can see this is 16 gig and it's this slow. And the reason why is because it's full already. I have maybe just like less than 30 gig of space left in this, and that's why it takes some time to roll. But I'm not going to be using this system for the new class. I already get a new system that I'm going to be using, and it's 32 gig. Kenneth, yes, you can join. I hope I answered that question because it's a private question, so I just say yes, you can join. So you know what I mean.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, it's taking forever. This is why you can't bring a slow system to the class. All right, so it's loading. Just give it some minutes. Yeah, this is what I'm trying to show you, and this is why I say you need Lucy charts. If you see in the application and tools, I put Lucy chart there. So this is what we're going to be using Lucy chart for. And let me go on present this. So it's going to start when you start the class. The first thing you're expected to do is to watch the video. Watch the video on the topic. I'm going to send out the video to watch. You watch the video. Let me close this. I don't need this one. You watch the video. If you complete watching the video, then you attend the demo class, which is the live class. If you do not complete, if your completion is no, you still need to attend the live class. But immediately after the last class, go back and watch the video. If you complete, you can watch the video. I mean, you can attend the last class or watch the live class training, then start the practical or the projects. Once you are doing the project, if you get stuck, post your questions on Telegram. Do not send questions to me directly. I've seen a lot of people, they even send questions to my WhatsApp because they know my WhatsApp and they send questions directly to me through SMS. Do not send questions to me directly because that same question you are asking me, if everybody keeps sending that to me directly, I will answer the same question like 200 times. So post your question on the general Telegram. I'm not saying if you have a personal thing to ask me, you can send it to me directly in my Telegram or in my WhatsApp or call me. But if it is question that relates to the project, post it on Telegram. Other people can benefit from it and somebody that have done that can answer you. But if you do not get stuck, that means the stuck is no, then document the process. I will teach you how to document. Its documentation is very easy. Anything you are creating, you are taking the screenshots and you are writing what you are doing and you are putting it in a document, either Microsoft Word or Google documentation, Google Doc. So once you document the process, then go and update your project tracker and your resume. Update your project tracker. If you have a resume, maybe you are a previous student or you're already looking for a job, use that project to update the project tracker and your resume. Then that is when you are done. So I will also send this to you so you keep it and you know the flow. So this is everything I have. If you do not have a question again, and then one more thing, for the website, if you have not joined our website or you don't have account on our website before, just go to this website here, training.thecornelis.com. If you want to join, you can click on Join November class and you can fill the application form. The class starts November 9, proper. November 9, Saturday, 9 a.m. Then after that, we're going to have Wednesday, Sunday, Sunday, Wednesday, class 2. So this is for you to join. And if you want to create an account, just go to create an account. If you try to log in, it's going to ask you, you join in and you create an account. So this is everything I have. Any other question?
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so I don't know if I missed it. In the flowchart that you posted now on the Lucid, you said we're going to watch a video first before coming to the live demo. Where will the video be?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. The video, that's why you have to register to the class. And I'm going to share you that just after this class, you register, just go and create an account on our website. Immediately you go to create an account, you can go to the courses. You create an account, you register. If you have not registered, but if you have an account, just log in. Then once you register, go to the courses. When you get to courses, you're going to see the first video. It's loading, let's fully load. So you're going to see the first class. I don't know why it's taking some time. I was showing before, but just give it some minutes. I don't know, my Mozilla is crashing. And the reason is because I've not off the system for days, even weeks now. So this, once you log in and you go to courses, this is what you're going to see. So you're going to enroll. It's showing start learning because I've already enrolled. So you're going to enroll on this. This is the live class. But the previous class is this one here. AWS class, Cybersecurity course, February 2024. This is the previous class. And you're also going to have access to other courses too. Other courses like the cloud practitioner. Other courses like the solution architect for that period, the cloud practitioner for that period. But the only one that I expect you to watch before the class is this solution architect and cloud cybersecurity. Whichever one, I'm going to tell you, okay, go to this date or this video and watch this.